Coming up on Smart Tech today, Matthew Cassinelli and I are here, and we start out by talking about some updates to Google's Nest Hub. It's got even more sleep tracking features than ever before. Makes me all the more likely to want to pick one of those up. Then we get into gadgets and gizmos, including Stack Overflow's copy and paste keyboard that has a lot more features involved, Florence Ion's review of the new Lenovo Smart Alarm Clock, and we break into gaming, AR, VR, XR, Apple, and HomeKit before we talk about an air quality monitor from Amazon. All that plus more coming up on Smart Tech Today.
Podcasts you love
from people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by Command Line Heroes, an original podcast from Red Hat that tells the epic true tales of developers, programmers, hackers, geeks, and open source rebels who are revolutionizing the technology landscape. Season 8 is out now. Search for Command Line Heroes on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And by userway.org. Userway ensures your website is accessible, ADA compliant, and helps your business avoid accessibility-related lawsuits. The perfect way to showcase your brand's commitments to millions of people with disabilities. It's not only the right thing to do, it's also the law. Go to userway.org/twit for 30% off Userway's AI-powered accessibility solution. Welcome to Smart Tech Today, where we explain the exciting, dynamic, and, well, sometimes confusing subject that is the Internet of Things. I am one of your hosts, Micah Sargent.
And I am your other host, Matthew Cassinelli. Hello, Micah. How are you doing?
Hello, Matthew. You've got some nice dulcet tones going on today.
I was going to preface, actually, this episode by saying I'm just getting over a sinus infection, but it does just make my voice very deep.
Yes, so, it's almost a radio voice you've got going there. Welcome to 101.2.
Radio otherwise?
Oh, no, it's fine for internet radio normally, but over the waves
internet radio. Qualifier. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, my voice is good for internet radio, not so good for regular radio, and yet. Let's get into the show today. We're kicking off with an update to the Google Nest Hub. So we had talked about the Google Nest Hub getting some sleep tracking features, that it was going to be able to use the built-in technology without needing a camera to be able to track your sleep. And I can remember us having kind of a long conversation about this, Matthew, where there's multiple types of ways to track your sleep and how some might be better, some might be worse. But the whole idea here is that you don't end up needing to have some sort of bed pad or a device that you lay down on top of your bed to be able to track your sleep, that it can do it from the side of the bed. And so along with that came, some updates over time. And now it's getting even more sleep tracking features to help you track your entire sleep cycle over time and kind of get an idea of, your duration of sleep, what time it estimates you fell asleep, how many hours you were awake, how much REM sleep you had, light sleep, deep sleep, basically everything that I just eat up whenever it comes to learning about my sleep cycles. So this is good because this brings it in line with some of the kind of top quality sleep trackers out there that have lots of sensors and have the ability to help you kind of understand why it's not just a matter of, I got 8 hours of sleep, so I shouldn't be tired. If you are getting the right amount of sleep, you're going to bed at the same time, you're waking up at the same time, and you're still experiencing sleep issues, there may be something else going on and that's harder or more difficult to figure out. And so learning how long your REM cycle is can help you figure out. That's the rapid eye movement stage of sleep, which is the most like being awake while still maintaining sleep. And I for folks who are watching, they're like, why is he holding his hand in the air? Every time I start talking about sleep, I can picture that sleep chart in my mind of our circadian rhythm. And essentially, you're awake, and then you start going down into stage 1, stage 2, you get into deep sleep, and then you come back up to light sleep, and then your body kind of has two options. It can either wake up or it can continue the sleep cycle by going into REM sleep. So a lot of people think, I shouldn't say a lot of people, some people think that REM sleep is the deepest stage of sleep, but it is, in terms of brain activity, the most like being awake. So the REM cycle actually goes down and then comes back up, and then goes down and comes back up. And REM sits at the top, right kind of below the wake stage before you actually get into sleep. And so you may be thinking that you're getting your full 8 hours, but maybe you're not getting enough of that restorative sleep, which is deep sleep, or enough of that REM stage of sleep. And most people end up getting enough light sleep, but it's the other two stages, REM and deep, that are the issue. So having more information about that is good. I keep meaning to pick one of these up, and I might. There's a deal that There's a deal that Google has right now where if you change your Google One storage plan to an annual subscription as opposed to a monthly subscription, then you can get a free hub. And I'm thinking about doing that because I've got the Pixel 6, and so I would like, and I've got the storage plan, but I don't have the annual plan. But I really would like to pick one of these up just so I can compare it to my sleep tracker that I have actually sort of built into my bed. So I may make that happen so I can report back on how well this works. But yeah this is good. More sleep, more better sleep tracking.
Do you have a link to that deal? Because I would like to do that as well. Because I think I am.
I will
coming
dig it
around
up
to
and
this.
include it in the show notes.
Yeah, I think I am coming around to this more than I was before. I think it's still originally, I was just thinking back to it just came from the weird mismatched expectations of what it was for originally in my mind. But I can just see, I like the visualization the most in addition to having the actual data, but just seeing you woke up at 2:55 a.m. or something like that on the hub right when you get up and see that information immediately. That does make sense that provides just immediate, I don't know, it's because it's following that right away. You can just immediately decide what happened last night or realize maybe you need to go back to bed or something like that. So I think this is an interesting product. One of the other things they added was calibration area for where your actual zone is that you sleep in. And essentially the point was I saw from earlier reviews that you couldn't differentiate between you snoring and somebody else. And so now it can kind of tell how far away you are and not count your partner or something like that. And then separate that out into a different zone too. So it does sound just like quality of life features for this as well. And they have a free or a Calm integration coming too next month from the meditation app. So you can start a little session. So I think they are just rounding this out as a bedside product. I wish it just kind of was, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have to be used for that. So maybe that's why they don't dedicate it to it, but it seems like it would make sense as, I don't know, just the Nest Hub. I wonder how many people even think of this as a sleeping product unless you've heard about these stories.
Yeah, that is, that's an interesting question because as we've kind of talked about before, a lot of people have them in their kitchen, their living room to be able to communicate with them, but storing them, having them in their bedroom, not as much, not as often. But I could see having this in my bedroom, again, using it to try to track my sleep, knowing that there's no camera built into it is helpful. All right, that's the Google news. We've got some gadgets to talk about. There are several gadgets, and this first one that you found, Matthew, is pretty neat. Tell us about the Author Clock.
Yeah, I just thought this was cool, but it's a clock that basically shows you the time by serving up quotes that say the time in it. So the example in the header article is from James Joyce. I passed out on the road and saw by the lighted dial of a clock that it was 10 minutes to 10, which is bolded. And so it's just as you look at the clock, you can get some references to different books and things like that. And it just tells you the time. So I thought this was
that's so cool.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. So cool. It's just a clever product that isn't exactly, I don't know. It's smart in a different way. It makes you smarter.
Yeah, I mean, it's making use of information that's out there to be clever and delightful. And I think anybody who is if you've got a family member who's an avid reader, or somebody has an English degree, there's so many people who this would be just a brilliant product for. How much is it? $1 trillion billion?
It's on Kickstarter, but it's like 45 times past their goal of 20,000. They have like I don't know, I didn't actually do the math, but they have like 1.2 million. But it is $120 and looks like it'll be 150. So it's like definitely a specialized product, but I think it's pretty neat. And there's only 3 backers left if you want one. So I guess you would have to get 2, but maybe once it's out, it'll be available as well. But I thought this was just
wow, they're limiting the number of backers?
Yeah, usually they do that just there was like 2,000 slots, so.
Oh, gotcha.
This slogan is great.
A novel way to tell time.
That is good.
Bravo. That's good. Well, that's the author clock. This next one is something that I could 1,000% see you having, Matthew, because you have that big red button somewhere. Stack Overflow jokingly talked about having a command copy, command paste, or I don't know if it's control, depending on which keyboard layout you use, copy paste keyboard that literally is just for that. Well, it turns out it's a very real product, not just a joke. You, too, can buy the Stack Overflow C, Stack Overflow V keyboard, which just is the command or control button, the letter C and the letter V as a keyboard, so that you can copy and paste all the Stack Overflow you need to. I suppose this would be a good GitHub keyboard, too, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just a clever April Fool's joke turned into real product thing. And of course, it is reprogrammable. I think they said, too, that there's an update that'll be easier to program as well. But just being able to do the copy and paste keyboard is clever, too. And I think wasn't it only $29? So it's actually affordable compared to... They do talk about the Stream Deck.
An affordable clicky keyboard. How nice.
Yeah, 3-key keyboard, but I think
3 keyboard.
What is the Stream Deck Mini? I think how many keys does that have? Because I think it has 6, which is basically designed. It's supposed to be like a Stream Deck, so you can control your other Stream Decks once you have like a full giant setup with the 15-key thing. Just because it is like overwhelming at a certain point, and obviously Stream Deck is like a reprogrammable screen compared to just keys itself. But still, just if you want to have different keyboard shortcuts or something like that, you could probably get something set up with this.
Plus, it's just kind of goofy and cute.
Exactly.
It's a really good product, just in general, for a coder in your life. And they can have a laugh, but then also end up using it.
I don't think we mentioned that, but Stack Overflow is just a web resource for coding and programming answers and things like that a lot of people just, like, very intelligent programmers will just Google something, find an answer on Stack Overflow, and use that because it's it's quicker sometimes than actually rethinking through the entire process yourself. So that's why it's very just go copy and paste something from there and then try to get it to work, and you'll probably be good.
Yep. All right. Then our pal Flo Ion wrote a nice little ditty about the Lenovo Smart Clock and how she really digs this smart alarm clock. Again, we talk about these devices being bedside table devices, and this one is kind of purpose-built to be the clock next to your bed. Also, there's a cute little Kirby icon next to a Kirby case next to the Lenovo Smart Clock 2, which has distracted me entirely from the review. And now I want to know what headphones are inside of that Kirby case. But anyway, back to the story. It's got a fabric body, and it doesn't have a charging port on it anymore. So it says, unfortunately, Lenovo took out the USB-A charging port on the back to slim down the clock's profile. Lenovo instead consolidated the USB port into the charging dock accessory.
Yeah.
So you can accessorize.
That kind of makes sense though, because I don't have, like, I have the original model that is just, or I guess I have the Logitech one. But it's just like if you don't need the port on the back, it's kind of pointless. But if you want the whole charging base, that's probably where you'd also want the port. And that is just a separate add-on that makes it a little bit pricier, but having them separate kind of does let you get what you want. And if you want the whole package, you're good to go. So I thought it's a pretty clever product. Like, I do think smart alarm clocks are probably worth it now compared to, I mean, I just wouldn't even know what kind of regular alarm clock to get. And these just have the added benefit of you can just be like, oh, what's the weather today? And things like that. So this is kind of the cheaper or just like more casual version of what the Nest Hub can be for somebody. And even just for me, like, I have it in my office, not in my bedroom. So just kind of a nice little product there. Good review.
Yeah.
Also, I should have realized Flo wrote this, so there's definitely not AirPods in there.
Yeah, definitely not. Those are probably
excuse me.
Google Pixel Buds, which, speaking of, I know it's a little bit of a I guess not a non sequitur because we mentioned it, but as when you purchased the Google Pixel 6, you could get a free pair of Google Pixel Buds A, I think they're called. And I am very impressed with the Pixel Buds. They are small and they pop in your ear and stay in your ear. They come in green, and they sound.
Can you hold it
really
closer to the
good.
camera?
Oh yeah,
Just really,
sorry.
Yeah.
They have this little kind of arm that helps stabilize it, and then of course the bud on the end, and they kind of pop into your ear, and that surface is a touch surface so that you can play, pause, et cetera, et cetera. And then this is the little case that it comes in, a little egg case. With the bud sitting at the top. The rest of it down there is just battery and all of the special magic inside. But what I was impressed by is how good they sound and how well they pair with a Google. I assume it's kind of across most of Android, but certainly on the Pixel 6, just like Apple's AirPods, flip the top and pair. And because I've been having so many issues with my AirPods Pro, I've started using these just Bluetooth connected to my iPhone because they work so similarly in terms of sound, it sounding similar, and the ability to kind of play and pause on the buds themselves. So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I can turn this into a Kirby, but maybe I could turn it into a Jigglypuff, which is my favorite Pokemon, which for anybody out there who thinks that I think that Kirby is a Pokemon, that's not what I'm saying. It's just Kirby and Jigglypuff could be cousins. That's all.
That's fair.
All right. This next one is for anyone who lives with a roommate. It's not smart tech per se, but it is smart tech. And that is Ikea's new sound-absorbing curtains. Yes, the company has made some curtains that look like sort of a linen-style curtain. It almost looks like hospital blankets. And when you put them up, they've actually been rated with ISO 354 certification. That's an official standard. The fabric has 50 to 100% greater absorption of medium and high sound frequencies than other fabrics with similar quality and weight. So I'm not exactly sure what ISO 354 certification means, but in terms of where that ranks on the scale, but that is an official standard to measure different materials that absorb sounds in ceilings or walls. So the Gunlog curtains will cost you $50 for a 5-foot wide section. So if you've got a lot of space you want to cover, it could get a little pricey. But 20 feet of curtain for $200. And that was incredible, Kevin. Thank you. If you're listening and not watching, that sound was curtains closing and opening on the screen. They recommend that they be wavy, if that makes sense. So you want to press them together a little bit as opposed to having them all spread out. So you can imagine that 5 foot probably shrinks to, say, 3.5, 4 feet once you've got the kind of wrinkles in there. So you would need several to kind of really add that thing. And of course, it's not going to completely remove all of the sound in a room, but it could help to kind of dampen. I was thinking that they'd be good sound treatments for a wall and like a studio. If you are doing a lot of podcasting, like we are,
exactly,
or voice calls and the room's very echoey. But even as they're showing there, just using them as curtains can help to be a sound dampening treatment for a room, because there's some stuff in this office that I've been wanting to move out of here so that I have more space. But in doing so, it causes more of an echo in the room. So having some curtains that would dampen the sound would be good.
Totally makes sense. Yeah, I was going to say, Ikea is already really popular with YouTubers, and this is going to be like every single studio is going to have these in them, because
I got the IKEA curtains. Yeah, here's what I think.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Still though, I mean, in every like almost every studio setup I see on YouTube, they have IKEA stuff, and sound is almost always the biggest problem for videos, or makes the biggest difference. And just in life, like this product, okay, my neighbor has finally like closed up the walls more now that he got it done just before it started to rain here a little bit. And it's been so nice having it be quieter. So sound pollution makes a huge difference, especially if you're in the same space. That's like why, even just going back to the headphone thing, is the sound canceling stuff has been a major deal for me this last year, because otherwise I would just have completely lost my mind. Maybe I lost a little bit. Who knows?
You would have had to fight with the neighbor.
I mean, I mean, there's a certain point where it's like illegal because you actually can't focus, and it like ruins your quality of life. And I looked up those standards and was measuring it with my Apple Watch and stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome. There's a certain level at which it becomes disturbing the peace.
Yeah, I mean, if it's above 70 decibels for 3 hours in a residential area, that's just like not acceptable according to city standards. And it makes sense, because it is just, you can't live your life otherwise. But anyways, just these curtains are definitely like, that's a pretty solid investment.
It's a good IKEA.
And black too, which is nice.
It's a good IKEA. I agree. It is a good IKEA. I'm actually going to IKEA, I think, this weekend. So I may pick up a panel, just one, just to see. I
would check if they're in stock, because I think in general, they've been suffering from the supply chain stuff a lot.
And all of the chips
not
in
having
these
products in stock.
I'm kidding. I know you're talking about the part of the supply chain. Yeah, not the chip shortage, but the actual, the ports. We're not talking about USB ports, okay? God. Folks, let's take a quick break so I can get over this goofiness and tell you about one of our sponsors today. It's Command Line Heroes. I love to talk about Command Line Heroes because it's just brilliant from the start to the finish. Command Line Heroes is an original podcast from Red Hat, and it tells the epic true tales of developers, programmers, hackers, geeks, and open source rebels who are revolutionizing the technology landscape. It offers a unique blend of historical context and current trends shaping the tech landscape. What's this season? Well, this season tackles one question from every angle. What is a robot? A servant, a factory worker, a prosthetic, a vehicle? And why do we build robots that look like us? And we often ask whether we can trust robots. But what about the question, can robots trust us? Science fiction tells us many stories about robots. In the future, they will serve our every need, or maybe they'll develop a mind of their own and turn against us. Maybe they will be the savior of humanity, or maybe they'll be our downfall. Season 8 of Command Line Heroes covers the robots that are in our midst and the determined dreamers who bring them to life. 8 episodes compare the promise of science fiction to the reality of robots today. We had the opportunity to listen to the first episode, which is Robot as Servant, and it has some very interesting tidbits in there. Listen to the way, not only just the interest of the clip, but also the way they have produced the clip. Just give it a close listen.
While making this season, we discovered a robot reality that's pretty removed from the robots we imagine. And yet, all those misguided ideas about what a robot should be actually shaped what robots are. And no robot fiction shaped things more than the story we told ourselves about robotic servants.
God, that atmospheric sound, the way that Saranyat Barak's voice gets a little bit robotic there at the end. There's so many clever little details from the website where each new season includes new artwork to the actual production of the show itself with these little changes and adjustments to the audio. It's just incredible storytelling, and it's available for you to listen to for free. That's ridiculous. It's amazing. This award-winning podcast I mentioned is hosted by Saranyat Barak, and it's produced by Red Hat. Season 8 is out now. Just search for Command Line Heroes on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you listen to podcasts, and we'll also include a link in the show notes. Of course, our thanks to Command Line Heroes for their support of this show and of Twit. We appreciate it. Go listen. Command Line Heroes. All right. I wanted to talk a little bit about gaming. We've got two consoles that are hitting against that supply chain issue. The Playdate and the Steam Deck. Not Stream Deck, but Steam Deck. The Playdate is this clever console made by the folks from Panic. It is a console that has a little turning wheel on the side, and oftentimes that crank is involved in the game. It doesn't power it or anything like that. It is just a mechanism that game developers can use when they make this game. It's got a little D-pad on it, an A and B button, and the crank on the side. So the crank is, the kind of fun thing about this. It's a unique product, and what they want to do is have new games kind of roll out over time. So you get it, and it starts with some games, and then developers continue to make games for it and roll them out. But unfortunately, they've sent out a message to their backers saying, hey, we tried, but it's just not going to happen. We're not going to be able to get it out in 2021 like we had hoped. And instead, the first round of Playdaters will get it in early 2022. And actually, the second round of Playdaters will also get it in early 2022. So if you were hoping for a Playdate soon, you will have to wait for your date. Are you on the list for this?
Yeah, I'm in group 2. So thankfully got in on I guess it'll be the second batch. But yeah, they said that they got the first batch from Malaysia, and then the batteries in them some of them were completely dead and wouldn't turn on at all and couldn't recharge. And so they were pretty much had to ditch that manufacturer and get something else. So that is a shame, but also they were kind of like, we're really glad we figured this out instead of just shipping them to people and it just being a horrible performance, basically. So late is better than never, or whatever metaphor insert here.
Hopefully they can crank it out next year.
You were waiting for. Did you write that down earlier?
No, it just happened.
I know you're on top of it. I should assume.
Yes. Well, anyway, that's the first one. And the second one is the Steam Deck, which I got on the list for buying one, but then didn't end up buying one. I just didn't end up playing enough different games, not just using my Luna subscription or some other way. So this is Steam's console that is kind of meant to be a way to play all sorts of games without needing to have a specific console, which I love the idea. Well, and there may come a time when I get it, but yeah, go ahead.
Just so that it's PC games that you don't have to be sitting at your PC, because that's for people who can play Switch or Xbox and things like that. But the quality of PC games is generally or like they make them so that they can run at higher specs and things like that. So this is supposed to be a handheld version of that as well. But yeah.
And man, that's the Switch is kind of becoming a Steam Deck. I keep seeing all of this, all of these news
like
pieces
apps,
about all the different games that are able to be played on the Switch, and this is coming to the Switch, and that is on the Switch. That Nintendo really has kind of made a very impressive console with the Switch, and I had no idea. It just kind of snuck in under the radar a little bit. But yeah, it used to be you could only play kind of cutesy wootsy games on the Switch, and slow but sure, they're adding lots of titles there.
Yeah, I think that upgraded hardware probably helps support that too. But yeah,
the
I think
OLED
it's still,
version.
I think Steam Deck is still supposed to be just kind of a whole different tier than anything that Nintendo can offer there, because it is like, this still feels like not real to me, because it does just seem like, I mean, it makes sense that it's just a PC based handheld gaming system, but just the power that PC games take, I think, is what I'm still curious about. So we'll see how it comes out too, and I bet it will be a great product. But I think this is just going to be a big trend, is all of the supply chain stuff that you've kind of been hearing about is actually going to start hitting, and it's like, oh wait, sucks. But that's how it goes.
That's just the way it is. All right. Up next is AR, VR, and mixed reality, XR. Qualcomm has released it's essentially a developer, it's a bit of developer tools that will help developers make the apps that they already have available in AR spaces. It's called Snapdragon Spaces, and the idea is that there are already loads and loads and loads of apps out there. They just need a little bit of a push to get them into the area where they work with augmented reality. I actually talked a little bit, quite a lot about this on Tech News Weekly today, but I wanted to bring it to Smart Tech today because we do talk a lot about AR on the show. And with this one, you've got several tools where it becomes easier for the developer to add these. Built-in hand tracking, built-in object recognition and tracking, positional tracking, which is the idea that kind of as you are moving away and toward something, that thing will stay kind of where it is and know where you are. Image recognition and tracking. So if you've got kind of a physical anchor when you open up a magazine, for example, then it would see that and be able to display that object in AR. Occlusion, which is very important, the ability to be able to layer things in front and behind you. Scene understanding, where it can pick up kind of what's going on in a scene and be able to properly overlay what's supposed to be in that scene, what's not supposed to be in that scene. There they were showing occlusion if you're watching, and here's object recognition and tracking. It knows that that's a car and can follow the car where it's going, knows how you're playing the game as you were playing. Local anchors and persistence, which is a really cool one, which means that you can set up at a desk, for example, your computer that exists in augmented reality, and then be able to use that computer. Even if you walk, the computer doesn't go with you. It stays where it is. It's locked to that position. Plane detection, which is a really important one, letting you sort of layer things in front of and behind a specific space, and it knows where those things are. And then spatial mapping and meshing, which looks out at the scene and realizes, oh, he's got, a cup here and a phone there, and can figure out where things are in that space to help you kind of fill that space with the augmented reality stuff. So a lot of the hard work being done by Snapdragon Spaces so that the developer can kind of jump onto those tools and be able to make their app work with all of that technology. But Snapdragon, or Qualcomm, I should say, has gone even further than that by also, this happened back in February, but it is still an important story all the way to now, because Lenovo has taken advantage of this. Qualcomm released a sort of, what is the word I'm looking for? It's a model that anybody can make use of to a reference design. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. A reference design for some AR glasses that people could make use of, so that a company doesn't have to start from square one. So in using the reference design, then you can go, not only do we have a design that we can be pretty sure is going to work, but also we'll know it works very well with Snapdragon Spaces because it was designed by the folks who make Snapdragon Spaces. So Lenovo used this design for its ThinkReality A3 glasses. And the ThinkReality A3 glasses, they plug into a phone or a computer and use the phone or computer as the processor and battery for the device. And then you can put them on and use them as AR. Now, Lenovo is marketing them as a very corporate product. In fact, most of the videos that you see show someone who's sitting in front of like 3 or 4 virtual screens in front of them. I should say augmented screens in front of them so that they can be more productive. But this is not the only opportunity that you have. You can think of the other implications and applications for this technology. And what I like is that this is a platform agnostic set of tools to help developers create for AR, making it all the more possible that AR can be widely adopted. I kind of compared it to televisions, where you can go and buy Samsung's billion-dollar OLED or mini LED display, or you can get TCL's less expensive display, or you can get Best Buy's Insignia brand display. And each of those televisions costs less and less, but they still provide the basic experience. It's just that, you know, the Samsung one's going to have the best lighting, the best richness, the best quality. I like the idea that there are different companies out there who give you that tool you need to access this AR world, and that it doesn't have to be that you can only get Apple's very expensive headset or Microsoft's very expensive HoloLens headset, that there will be different companies making them, that you may not get the best object occlusion or room features, but that you do get to partake in this world that we're building in the coming years. And more importantly, as I was saying earlier as well, I'm thrilled that it does appear that I will be alive in a world that is going all in, or at least somewhat all in on augmented reality. I kind of wondered if I was going to see that, you know, before my time. So, you know, assuming, of course, that I don't get hit by a bus tomorrow and live out the sort of full extent of my life, then I think AR will be a part of what we get to see before we go. And that's very exciting to me.
Yeah, it is interesting. I'm curious how quickly that... I'm just trying to think of VR and AR, and that kind of XR is the term that people use. I'm curious if AR will become more popular sooner, even though VR is already here, but just because of the nature of the privacy of, naturally VR is a personal thing that you're generally only one person is doing, or you're like, you can cast or whatever, but I assume most people aren't doing that most of the time. And then versus just AR being a part of your environment, and how, I mean, even the Oculus Quest's pass-through thing is doing even better at that. Like it can, I think even just the latest version a couple of days ago can show you when you're in pass-through mode, it can show you the objects that it can detect around you. And so like you can physically interact with your, actually not in pass-through mode, it's in the VR mode. It can show you the AR objects in your virtual space. Yeah, sorry.
And
okay,
the real objects.
Because I was like, wait, you can already just see
actual, it basically keeps me from stepping on Henry or Mizzy when I'm in VR. It'll show you them overlaid kind of in your VR space. And in fact, you just reminded me, I haven't had a chance to test that out yet because I need to check to see if that update ever, no, I did. I got the update. I was waiting for that to roll out so that I could try that new feature. And then I ended up getting stuck in Horizon Worlds for a couple of hours, having fun in the metaverse, as it were. But yeah, I meant to test that out to see what it was like, because that was one of the big conversations at Facebook's Connect, was this conversation surrounding the new features that will be coming out with augmented reality using the Quest. It says in this article from The Verge, the XR1 Smart Viewer is distinct from the Snapdragon XR1 or XR2 platforms, a pair of chipsets that are optimized for virtual and augmented reality glasses, including last year's XR2-based Oculus Quest 2. So the XR1 Smart Viewer, instead of being that XR2 chip, this is designed to offload some of those tasks to your phone instead of it being right there in the device itself, the headset itself. So then it can be lighter. Mm-hmm. All right. That's AR, VR, XR. Let's move on to talk about Apple and HomeKit. Up first is an update for, I think, a lot of people who are HomeKit nerds, one of their favorite apps, Controller for HomeKit. What do we have here, Matthew?
Yeah, I think the main thing that I liked about this is the low battery and maintenance features that they just added. And also, I guess that the sneaky little feature is the created by Siri automations as well. But for overall maintenance, I think that's a big thing that is just like, what is going on with my HomeKit devices? And I don't understand what's going on. So they have it, or what is happening exactly. So they have a tab that will help show you like low battery, missing the code, duplicate information, and things like that. So that's really nice. But the created by Siri thing too is, we referenced this a while ago, but never really covered it again. It's now if you do say like run, like turn on the lights at 3 p.m. or something like that, what it essentially does is creates a one-time automation for that and then just adds it to your automations tab. And so eventually you probably don't want those anymore. So this curates that into a category that you can go in and just delete or update to be more relevant or something like that. So this is just another great like controller for HomeKit. Is definitely the tool that you should have for HomeKit if you are running into any issues and just don't know what's going on or just don't want to manage it through the home interface too. I tend to hide a lot of low battery products because I swear to God, this hue button, every single time I replace the battery, it just goes from supposedly 100% to 1% in 2 weeks and then sits at 1% for 2 years. And so I don't understand what's happening.
That's like, so annoying.
Maybe it's just wrong or like, I don't know, but something doesn't work with it. Sorry, it's just kind of absurd. So that's a good example of like something that I would just hide. Because I mean, I guess I'm not sure exactly for low battery, but you can hide or show different devices in HomeKit in the, what's it called? Like the alerts? Not in favorites. I'll have to look it up, but there's just a way in HomeKit that you can prevent certain things. I think it's status, because if like a product is just unplugged, it's always going to show as not working or something like that. And I've had stuff that's just been unplugged for a long time, so I hide it from that. And this can kind of help you go back in and remember to maintain your HomeKit setup.
Nice.
Yeah,
then we've got a sort of tongue-in-cheek review of Apple's new expensive polishing cloth, which has been sold out for a while. I don't know if it's back in stock, but yeah, you can purchase Apple's polishing cloth, and 9to5Mac has done a tongue-in-cheek review.
Is it though?
Yeah, I was told that it was.
Okay, because the title is obviously the new gold standard for device cleaning. I honestly think it's a very, very good product. Like, I think it's the meme of it.
You have one, or you're just basing it on their review?
Oh, absolutely, I do. And
oh my God, he's got the polishing cloth, folks.
There's a reason they made it. First of all, it actually does clean your screen very well. Like when I clean my iPad, there's like a layer of dust that I can't even see on there that comes off when I clean it with this. And I mean, I make videos where I film device screens. And let me tell you, I notice every video that has dust all over the device when in B-roll and stuff. It is kind of like clean it a little bit. I don't know.
Okay,
It's
Burke,
supposed to
we
look
need to get
nice,
an
and
Apple
so
polishing cloth for the studio.
I'm telling you, if for iPads too, like your hand, it like has a certain grip against, especially the iPhone or like just the Apple screens compared to cheap little like cloths or something like that. And then you just have to rinse it off every once in a while. So it honestly, I think that's why it's like Apple was kind of like, we made this for a good reason, and it's also has that meme quality, but it's just like it is a really high quality thing, and that's why they charge $19 for it. But I'm just going to use the one, and I kind of, honestly, I leave it on my desk, and it's a little phone resting place because I don't use a case while I'm in the house, and so I just leave my phone on it, and then like
Safe
clean off my
for
iPad
use
screens
on
every once in a
all
while.
Apple displays and surfaces. For infrequent cleaning of hard-to-remove smudges on nano-texture glass, a 70% isopropyl alcohol solution may be used.
So that's,
The listing
that's
on
like the
Apple.com
XDR.
lays out every single product that they believe it is compatible with. There are several omissions. The polishing cloth is only compatible starting with the first generation iPhone SE, the first generation iPad mini, and the fifth generation iPod Touch. Even the oldest Mac that they say is compatible is only from 2015. The polishing cloth is compatible with non-Apple devices as well. The author says, I've been able to clean smudges off my Pixel 6 quickly and efficiently. They don't say what soft, non-abrasive material it's made of, but iFixit says that it's probably the same microfiber that they use inside of the iPad Smart cover, which is interesting.
I didn't think about that. That makes sense. Yeah, I thought they said that it's like non-woven microfiber. So it's just more like detailed in that part. But I definitely noticed it, especially on my MacBook screen, like getting the edges out and just like the finger grease. Like I could see it got rid of the smudges, but then I went over it like a couple more times and I watched like a layer of oil basically get wiped up too. And so I was like, I think that's why it is hard to just be like, yeah, you should get this, but it's just like one microfiber cloth. I've probably spent $19 on packs of microfiber cloths that I end up just like losing though and don't really know where they are. And this is just like better. So I don't know. It's obviously there's just like a weird, absurd capitalist story to Apple Inc. selling a $20 microfiber cloth. But if you have a lot of products and need to keep them clean, it is definitely going to do the job very well. So I don't know.
All right. Interesting.
Call me an Apple sheep if you want to. I don't care.
Not even your pick of the week.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I
come
don't need to be that. My pick of the week is even better, so I'll save that for later.
Last but not least, of the Apple HomeKit section, NetAtmo has announced a new product. This time, it is a HomeKit compatible CO detector. There aren't many of these available for folks. So when I saw this fly by, I thought, oh, that's cool that we finally do have one. NetAtmo makes I can't remember where exactly. Oh, it's the Healthy Home Coach, which is essentially a room sensor for air quality, and will give you some tips on how to improve the air quality in a space. They make very well-designed products that are sort of sharp and clean. In fact, we've got the rose gold NetAtmo Home Coach. You can see it's this beautiful aluminum design. And then the front of it has sort of an LED light or a few lights with a diffuser that will shine to kind of give you the quick rundown of what how your space is rating. The button on top lets you kind of chime it and get a notification for the reading of the room. And it just plugs in the back with, you know this product is old because it plugs in the back with the USB micro. And also the HomeKit code that's printed on the back is the old school HomeKit code as well. So this is an older device. But NetAtmo, yeah, they really make some high quality products. They've also got some very good, what are they called? Weather sensors, weather stations that are great for outdoor use to keep track of kind of local weather. So it's cool to see NetAtmo making a CO detector, and I imagine that it will work quite well as a HomeKit product. All right, let's take a quick break and we will come back with a little bit of Amazon news, some fitness and health news, and then we will round things out with our picks of the week. This episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by userway.org. Userway is aimed at making the web much more accessible. Every website, without exception, actually, it needs to be accessible because it's a public entity, but also because it's just the right thing to do. Userway has an AI-powered solution that tirelessly enforces the hundreds of WCAG guidelines. With just one line of JavaScript, Userway can achieve more than an entire team of developers to make your website accessible, because that can be overwhelming. But Userway's solution makes it simple, easy, and it's cost-effective. You can check out their free scanning tool to see if your website is ADA compliant. Userway's AI and machine learning solutions power accessibility for more than 1 million websites. It's trusted by some names you may have heard of: Coca-Cola, Disney, eBay, FedEx, and many other leading brands. Now Userway is making its best-in-class enterprise-level accessibility tools available to small and medium businesses. Operating an accessible and compliant website isn't only the right thing to do, it also makes business sense if you need that reason for doing so. Millions of people will require Userway just to purchase your products, and when you need to scale, well, you need Userway. For years, Userway has been on the cutting edge, creating innovative accessibility technologies that push the envelope of what's possible with AI, with machine learning, and computer vision. Userway's AI automatically fixes violations at the code level. And if you're curious, here are some of the things Userway does. It auto-generates image alts, so it's going to write those image descriptions for you. It remediates complex navigation menus, which are always an Achilles heel for companies, and Userway ensures that all pop-ups are accessible. It fixes vague link violations and fixes any broken links. It ensures your website makes use of accessible colors while remaining true to your brand, and Userway gives you a detailed report of all the violations that were fixed on your website. Userway is also platform agnostic, so whether you're using WordPress, Shopify, or Wix, you can easily add Userway, and the same goes for AEM, Sitecore, or SharePoint. Userway integrates seamlessly with all. So let Userway help your business meet its compliance goals and improve the experience for your users. Also, the voice of Siri, who's considered the world's most popular voice assistant, has a message about Userway.
Hi, I'm Susan Bennett, the original voice of Siri. You won't hear me say something like this too often. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're looking for. But every day, that's what the internet is like for millions of people with disabilities. Userway fixes all of that with just one line of code.
Thank you, Susan Bennett, the original voice of Siri, for that message. Userway can make any website fully accessible and ADA compliant. With Userway, everyone who visits your site can browse seamlessly and customize it to fit their needs. It's also a perfect way to showcase your brand's commitment to millions of people with disabilities. So go to userway.org/twit and get 30% off Userway's AI-powered accessibility solution. Userway, making the internet accessible for everyone. Visit userway.org/twit today. And thanks so much to Userway for sponsoring this week's episode of Smart Tech Today. All right, back from the break, and we're back to the air. I have pre-ordered this product, Faux Show. Amazon has launched a new air quality monitor that works with Alexa. It's $70, and it doesn't have a microphone or screen or anything like that of its own. You pair it with an Echo device in your home, and then it will give you local readings of your air quality. Those will show up on a screen device, or you can also ask one of your non-screen devices, hey, what's the air quality like right now? And it will tell you. But I think this is
LED
brilliant.
too. Yeah, which I didn't notice.
Okay, yeah. So on device, you'll be able to kind of get a quick picture, just like that Net Atmo I talked about earlier. So you can sort of understand, even without having sort of a screen to look at, the roundabout quality of your air. Did I mention $70? I think I did. Yeah. So little on the pricey side, but I imagine that they really are trying to pack in good sensors based on the look of it. If we could even zoom in on that a little bit, you can see it's got this grill on the front, and this is likely where it is pulling in the air to get a picture of the quality of your air. In fact, one of my favorite air quality sensors that I have in my home, I've talked about before, it actually has a tiny little fan inside that is an intake fan. And so it not only just, sort of pulls in the atmospheric air passively, looks at the atmospheric air. It is constantly sucking in air to rate it, to measure it, to figure out how it's working. So one that has a grill to kind of collect that air and bring it in is good to be doing that. And I think we will see people kind of jumping on this. I wouldn't. This would be a good gift to give to somebody. I would like to get this for people because I've gotten my mom, for example, an Echo in the past. So getting her this to have in her space in her house to know kind of, oh, we should probably open the windows, or oh, we should invest in an air purifier, that kind of thing.
It makes a huge, we've obviously talked about this many times on the show, but I think just this seems, I like the way it's a standalone product, so it's not like making all these other smart speaker decisions or something like that. And just like maybe getting two of these seems realistic versus, I don't know why this seems more dedicated than even like I have an Eve room, but I don't think I would put this in my kitchen, like having it be dedicated air quality in addition to, I don't know why I have that mental block for some reason, and I just wouldn't think of it in the same way. Like I guess I just immediately imagined my brother does, I guess his pizza oven's outside, but even just still in their kitchen space, that's where they have the Echo, and just air quality in those spaces can make a huge difference when you might not even realize it, especially in the winter. Like without my house having proper ventilation and it being cold, we have to think about that a lot more because otherwise it just doesn't ever filter really. So I've got an automation to turn on our air quality thing in the middle of the night at least. But just being aware of it moment to moment is important. And what we've said after this podcast, every time I have to open all the windows because otherwise it is just my breath in this room for an hour and a half straight. So, and the light that I have and stuff like that. So
I would like to confirm it does have a fan that pulls in air from the surrounding. It measures particulate matter, volatile organic compounds, carbon monoxide, humidity, and temperature. And then it also, which is pretty cool, has a self-cleaning at startup, so and also at routine intervals. So it will clean off the sensors inside at regular intervals to make sure that those are clean. Because that's one of the things I have to do with the sensor that I have, because it's constantly pulling in air. It also pulls in particulates. I have to clean it off occasionally. This will do some self-cleaning, which I imagine it probably runs the fan in reverse and may even send an electrostatic charge to help shake loose the particles. I can't confirm that second one. That first one is almost certainly what it's doing. And the other thing that's kind of neat that I didn't see originally, 70% post-consumer recycled plastics it's made of, and the package is 99% wood fiber-based materials from responsibly managed forests or recycled sources. So along with being a product that is 70% post-consumer recycled, it is packaged well as well. For folks for whom this matters, it is 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. So you will need to, if you've got a more modern routing system, have to make sure that the 2.4 gigahertz network is available to it. And outside of that, very, very cool. I'm looking forward to getting one of these. I think mine's coming in, let's see. Mine should arrive on December 8th. And in fact, it's still showing December 8th is the ship date. So if you pre-order one now, then it will come at that time. Interestingly, Amazon has it sorted in the wrong area because it currently says number one bestseller in automotive replacement mass airflow sensors. So please don't buy this if you think it's a mass airflow sensor for your car. It is not a mass airflow sensor for your car. I've purchased one of those before, and they are not cheap, not $70, that's for sure. Even for my car from 2004. They weren't $70. But anyway, I love that this has the built-in fan to make sure that it's pulling in air properly to do the proper measurement. And yeah, I think this is a really well-designed product that, as you pointed out, it doesn't have a screen. It doesn't have a microphone. It's not trying to do any of that stuff. It's just there to be a sensor. It is an external product. The other thing that Amazon made was, and we talked about that on the show recently, was the soap dispenser. I have somehow resisted purchasing that still. So I deserve all of the applause for not falling into purchasing a stupid smart soap dispenser. But good golly, do I want it. Yeah, I will continue to resist. I have to continue to resist. It is literally, folks, if you're wondering, just a soap dispenser that plugs in, and so you don't have to press down on it. And depending on where you put your hand, closer or farther away from the pump, then it will dispense more or less soap, depending. And
it's got the countdown timer for the 20
Oh, yeah, that's too. Right. Thank you for that. Yeah, it also lets you know that you're washing your hands properly or not.
How much is that one again?
That one is way too much money. Kevin, could you scroll back up for me? Oh, man, that screen's so small.
55.
What does that say? $55 for a soap dispenser. I just can't.
Not the worst.
I can't justify
I
it.
almost assumed it was going to be 90 for some reason. I don't remember why. So like,
well, heck, for you,
it was a deal.
For you, it sounds like
money.
a good price. I saved money on my imaginary estimation of how much it costs. God, I should do that always. I'll be able to buy everything. Oh no, I can't do that. Yeah, so there's that. It's an interesting product from Amazon.
Here's another product that follows that logic. Instead of buying a $4,000 shed mill, you can save a ton of money and buy the new Tempo Move, which is actually admittedly a cool product. It's a smart home gym that is like this little modular subwoofer looking thing that opens up to be weights and things like that. Plus there's an entirely connected stand for your phone that uses an app to like use light, or I guess it's currently the depth camera, but they're going to use LiDAR to basically watch what you're doing. That is plugged in via HDMI to your TV. And so it's a whole smart home gym package in one. That also, like the review from Gizmodo, they were basically like, it doesn't, I mean, I don't know if it necessarily looks good per se, but it doesn't stick out. It does look like just kind of like a subwoofer or something like that. But then you open it up and have everything you need to do for your workouts. And so,
yeah, I like the story that they told. Basically, they went into the place where this was being shown off, the Tempo place, and the guy at the head of Tempo was like, can you tell us where the Tempo device is? Because the original one was a lot bigger. It was a kind of a full-on mirror system, or full-size system, and the journalist did not know where it was. Just thought it was kind of this decoration off to the side that was like a plant stand, and instead it was the device and the storage unit for everything. It's also far less costly than some of these more expensive things. I honestly eyeballed this as a possibility, especially for the weights, because you can buy those kinds of adjustable weights and they're pretty pricey. So to have all of this and get the extra smart stuff with it is pretty cool. But I am going to continue holding out hope that Apple either partners with or they themselves come out with some of this stuff like to pair with Apple Fitness Plus. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, this seems pretty solid too. And like the Tempo Studio thing was $2,500, and this is $400. So I think this is kind of, at least it's cool to see that smart home gym stuff get like further away from just concept products and more into people's actual homes. And I think maybe this is kind of the start of a trend that we'll see more next year as well, or just over the next coming years, this stuff getting cheaper and more integrated too. I mean, I think a problem they're saying now is it doesn't really work for Android because there's not many Android phones that have those kind of cameras with them. So it's kind of banking on a phone that can handle some of the processing itself. And so, but they're basically like, that's not because we don't want to support Android. There just aren't phones that do that, and every single iPhone has it. So that's kind of the benefit of standardization on that side, at least. But it seems an interesting product, though. Like,
I agree.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Continuing to work on our fitness, Peloton has a camera now to help guide you in lifting weights. So if you don't want to work with a human being to, kind of give you some instructions on how to properly lift weights, this can be a way to help you out. It reminds me of the Kinect from Xbox that was a way to, track your movements and when you played like dancing games and stuff.
Yeah, this is interesting just because Peloton has, if people don't know, beyond just the hardware itself, they just have really good workout systems and trainers and classes and things like that. And so integrating that into more different styles of workouts at home makes a lot of sense. And it's also like $495. So not exactly like just pick it up or something like that, but still more affordable. And I mean, for gym memberships, it's probably like around a year or two of the cost. So you can kind of mentally make that leap a little bit better than maybe it will be the same as not using your gym membership like you might already, but at least you have the thing afterwards too. So it kind of makes sense. And this is just exactly the same kind of thing of at-home workout smart tech, but this doesn't provide the workout gear, but you might already have your own. So kind of good options coming around now, which is cool.
Yeah. What's next in us working on our fitness?
Yeah, this is, I thought, very relevant to me right now because I'm getting over being sick. And so Fitbit's new feature might not tell you to might tell you to not go to the gym after all. It's the daily readiness score and that kind of thing where it's like, hey, maybe you should take it easy today because your heart habits are out of whack or sleeping or stuff like that. And so I think this is just a great product for people to actually give you a break, because that's one of the problems with some of the especially the Apple Watch rings is people definitely note that you can't ever take a break if you want to keep your streak going. And so it kind of can, I don't find those things motivational at all anymore because I just never really kept up with any of them. And so actually being able to integrate wellness into your fitness, I think is very important. And so Fitbit is doing a good job with that.
Yes. In fact, I just think that it's important to have kind of an understanding of more than just I've made this movement or I've done this thing, and kind of an all-encompassing understanding of how someone is using these fitness tools. And that plays into a story that we're going to get to in a moment that really touched on this, and it resonated with me because it's something that I felt fully and truly. But we wanted to mention as well that Withings has kind of come out with a watch. I talked before about how I like how Withings makes these watches that are gorgeous watches that feel more like the classic watch you're used to. But this one has features that rival Apple's own Apple Watch, particularly. It's got medical tracking. It's got a 30-day battery, which is incredible, and will better help you kind of keep track of your health metrics even than any of the other ones that they have.
Yeah, so these are definitely important because they are just getting better, and it is specifically designed for medical tracking like that too, as opposed to more fitness types or just any type of, you can do basic fitness, but not less about having a smart watch per se, as opposed to a fitness watch or a health watch. Sorry. But again, yeah, I remember that was when I first saw them at CES, and I was like, those just look like watches that I would wear. And they also have health features. So they're saying it's their most advanced medical wearable to date. So pretty impressive.
Yep. I think that folks who want to have that more classic smartwatch, but some of the new features that come with it, this is the perfect opportunity for them to be able to kind of get the best of both worlds. The hottest styles, every shoe, every color. Anyway, there may be 15 people out there listening to this who got that reference, and to you, I salute. Let's move on to the story that I mentioned, which is the story from The Verge that's entitled, "All I Want from My Smartwatch is to Give Me a Break." I think anyone who has a smartwatch has felt this from time to time, that it is very good at trying to be a motivational nag, but it's not very good at saying, hey, you've worked very hard and you deserve to breathe in, breathe out, and take a break. It says, whether it's hitting your daily 10,000 steps, burning a certain number of calories, or reminders to move every hour, the aim for most wearables is to help you build better health habits. To do that, consistency is key. No one's denying that. But any athlete or doctor will also tell you that rest and recovery are incredibly important to your overall health, preventing injuries and avoiding motivational burnout. Unfortunately, most wearables fail at giving you a break, even when it's justified. It's simply not built into their programming. And so this piece is talking about how it would be great if there was some programming built into this thing that made it smarter about having people take a break. It's why I end up turning off a lot of those nags, because there eventually comes, I'll turn it on. I'm like, yeah, I feel good. I want this. I want to be reminded every time I'm going to stand up, step out, blah, blah, blah. And then occasionally the time will come where it's just a bad day and I don't want to do the thing, and it pops up and then it gets on my nerves, and then it happens again. And then I'm like, well, I'm turning that off. I don't want that feature turned on. It's not making me happy. It does not spark joy. And so I shut it off. And I think that I agree with this piece wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I mean, pretty much that. I already made my point earlier too. It's like, this is a necessary thing. And it does just make you want to get back on the horse too. I think as much as taking the break, it's like helpful to reactivate that motivation too. So I hope they do this.
Yep.
Or Apple does.
All right. That ends the news segment of the show, which means it's time next for our picks of the week. All right, it is time for our picks of the week, and the first pick comes from Matthew Cashinelli. Tell us your pick of the week.
All right, I'm very excited for this product, and only because, speaking of joy, sparking joy, is these are AirPods beanies, which is, there's just a tiny little iPod sock for your AirPods, if anybody knows. I mean, what was that, like 15 years ago now? Oh my gosh, that is a long time
Many years ago.
I haven't actually opened these yet because I did just want to capture just my pure joy of just being like, I'm pulling them out of the thing, and they're just little socks for your AirPods, and they're different. There's gray.
Oh, wow. It's a
pink,
multi-pack?
blue. Yeah, it comes with green too. This was $20 for 4 of these. I easily could have sold them for $30 or something like that. But they come with like a little cardboard insert, and then they just fit around your AirPods, and it's just a little sock to protect them from. I love it.
So
oh my God,
cute.
they're just cute. It's just adorable. And I mean, my original AirPods, the case got beaten to heck over the time. And so it is just kind of a nice way to protect it. Or if you're throwing it in like your pocket or something like that, you know that it's not going to immediately scratch something else. So I do just like having my stuff protected, and it's adorable. So they are sold out, probably because anybody who saw them, like I think Stephen Hackett posted about it on his website, and I quote tweeted it just being like, yup, because I just immediately bought it. I was like, this is great. I'd say this is actually not in the same category as the Apple polishing cloth. This is me just being a dork and an Apple fan or whatever. That one actually is a good product, or like, not that this is bad, but that has utility. This is just cute. It still does have some utility, but it's mostly just adorable. So get these when they're back in stock. I highly recommend it.
All right. I've got something that also sparks joy, and this one's a little bit more involved. This is a product called Lovebox, and I'll switch. I've got everything set up to talk about today. So Lovebox is this product. Oh, do I need to bring in my phone a little bit, Kevin? Let's see if I can't scoot that over so it's more in frame. I'll make it a little bit smaller there. There we go.
Nice.
Okay, so Lovebox is this little bamboo box. You can see it's plugged in via USB cable so that it maintains power. It connects to the internet, and it's a bamboo box with a little charm on the front of it. So currently there's a sun on the front of it, but this is actually changeable. When I got the box, it came with that little sun, and it also came with the standard one that you get as part of the Lovebox, which is a heart. Now, what happens is you get the Lovebox and you set it up on your home Wi-Fi. The way that it works is it has a built-in kind of Wi-Fi connection. So you connect your phone to it, and then it has one of those, oh goodness, I can't think of the term now, but it's like a capture, like whenever you go to a hotel and you use their Wi-Fi and then you have to type in a code or whatever, where it does that initial setup capture. And once you type it in, you can get forward. This works the same way. You connect to the Wi-Fi, it pops you into a browser where you can then set it up with your home Wi-Fi and set up your account. You hit next, and it connects to the account. It starts uploading, and then it's ready to go. At that point, it displays, and I'll show you in a second, inside this box, there's a screen, and it displays on that screen a code. That code you can send to families, friends, lovers, etc. And they download what you can see here on my iPhone, which is the Lovebox app, and they can use that code to send you messages. When a message, the device, the box won't receive new messages if the top is open, if the lid is open. It only receives messages while it's closed, because then that's whenever you can then look to see what the message is. And this charm on the front remains still until a message is delivered. When a message is delivered, the charm starts spinning on the front of it. It's kind of clever. There's just this sort of brass rod that sticks out of the front of it, and then there's a magnet. And so when you stick it on the front, it gets turned. The brass rod just kind of holds it in place. There's a magnet inside that kind of tells it to turn, that makes it actually spin around. So I know right now that I've got a message. It just so happens that I sent this message to myself because I have yet to tell my family about this. But I'll take off the lid, and inside it says, "Hello there, Smart Tech Today." And next to it is a little
Can you
GIF
focus
that says,
at all?
Here, let me try to.
Oh, yeah. I think it's, oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's. I promise you, it looks a lot better than it does on the screen. It's a lot higher quality. Yeah, it's just that it's such a bright shot. Yeah, exactly. So that's the actual color of this is like a teal blue. And I wonder here, I did a black background because my table is also bamboo. And so it was kind of hard to tell the difference between the two. Yeah, that doesn't look much better. But anyway, that message is there. And then what happened is the phone that I used to send it, I just got a message on
you got a notification?
Let's see. Yeah, I got a message on that phone letting me know that my message has been read. And so then it let me know on this Pixel that, hey, your message had been read. And what's cool is I, as the person who received this message, if I take this charm on the front and I spin it, then it will send some hearts of love to the person who sent the message. And so it should in just a moment start dropping hearts down from the top of the screen.
Or do you need to close it again?
I might need, yeah, you're right. I bet I do need to close the Lovebox itself, and then spin that on the front, and it should send some hearts my way. Maybe it already sent. That's why I'm not seeing it.
Basically, you can.
Oh yeah, there you go. You received a waterful of hearts. So that's the way to reply to people who send you a message, just saying, "Oh, thank you for that message." So imagine getting this for, people will go, "Wait, so then why shouldn't I just text the person?" this is a whole kind of other thing. This is a surprise and delight moment. This is a...
It's like I'm thinking of you, kind of.
Yeah, I'm thinking of you. You get this for... like I could see getting this for my mom, and then all of her kids get the code, and then occasionally they send her messages. I mean, on the app, let me go back. You can use it to add photos instead of just text messages. You can draw. There are all sorts of ways to send a message with all sorts of text. So there's text and styles. So let's say hello, just that. And then we'll change the style to a different kind of typeface. And then we can change the size of the text. We can change the color of the text. And then we can change the background color. I have the one that, oh man, that's bad. I have the Lovebox color, but it also has a black and white version. So the screen doesn't cost the company as much to make, so therefore it doesn't cost as much to buy. These start at $99.99, but it's, I mean, if you think about the technology that's involved, this is essentially a little computer that lets you send messages to people and get this little notification, letting them know, like this physical notification, letting them know that they've got a Lovebox message waiting for them. And yeah, I just, as much as it is, it's a product that, I don't see it being justifiable for everybody, but the surprise and delight of it, the incredible build quality. This is a French company. And so it was actually made in France and designed by, I know I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but Xavier Houy Paris. Beautifully designed. The screen inside is very good quality. I am going to do something. Yeah, I think I am. This. Wait, I wonder if I can, hold on. Let me look this up while I'm still talking. So the build quality is super awesome. It is, you can get it on Amazon. You can also order it from the website itself. And it is a pretty cool, again, just the way that it's set up is really nice. I'm just checking. I wanted to make sure that I could change the code on my Lovebox, and it does say that I can. Yeah, so for those loyal watchers of the show, I'm sending you my code, which I know is going to end up being a mistake, but alas, if it ends up being abused, yeah, you can't even read it anyway. 78VK BBKV 78VK BBKV is my code, and so you can get the app and send a message if you want to. And yeah, I will immediately reset it if it ends up becoming abused. But again, I just think this is such a cool idea.
It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Again,
it's not going to be a mass market product, but for people who want it, it's there. And I thought when you were talking about it, I thought of, it's like if Panic, who's making the Playdate, made like an instant messenger, but it's kind of just analog instead. Because they even, this is totally an aside, but that company has their logo up on their building, and you can use an app to change the color of their logo. So it just it does feel very in their wheelhouse as well. But
yeah, and I also like, it reminds me of this other product that I got for my mom, which is this picture frame that you can take photos of yours and send them to a specific email that's randomly generated by the picture frame. And when you send the photos to that email, then they show up on her digital picture frame. So she has it plugged in, and she regularly gets photos from me and my other siblings all the time, because it's just sitting there waiting for photos to be sent to that email address. So This has that same kind of feel where it's just this delightful thing where right now it's my office, but I'm going to put it in the main living space. And so occasionally I'll look and I'll see that little star flitting around. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got a message. How fun. I could pop it open, see that message, and be delighted by it, give it a little spin to send the person a thank you, and then be move on along my way. So yes, not a mass market product for sure. And some people will go, I'll just text somebody. But this is a gesture kind of thing and a sort of warmth kind of thing. It's just the perfect amount of tactile versus digital. And I like how it comes together with the Love Box. So that's my review of the Love Box. Starts at $99.99, up from there if you want the color version. And you can get it on Lovebox's own site or over on Amazon. Folks, that brings us to the end of this episode of Smart Tech Today. If you have questions, thoughts, concerns, feedback, or you want my Lovebox code, email us, stt@twit.tv. We record the show live every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. You can head to twit.tv/live to check it out, or we think the best way to get the show is by subscribing to the show, which you do by going to twit.tv/STT to subscribe to the show in its various formats, audio and video, wherever we happen to be, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, etc. I should also mention that if you would like to join the club, what club, you ask? Oh, it's Club Twit. If you would like to join the club, then you should check out Club Twit at twit.tv/clubtwit. For $7 a month, you get some pretty cool stuff. First, you get every single one of our shows ad-free. So you're going to get your own, this is kind of fun too, I think, an own personal feed of every single show. So maybe there's some shows you haven't checked out yet that you'd like to check out. You're going to get them all ad-free. You'll also get access to the members-only Twit Plus bonus feed that has content you won't find anywhere else. It's before the show, after the show, outtakes, etc., and access to the members-only Discord server. That's the place where you can hang out with us hosts, producers, people at Twit, and also your fellow Club Twit members. And the most important thing, which is a warm, fuzzy feeling in your heart knowing that you are supporting us here at Twit. We also got feedback that some folks wanted to support shows directly. They weren't really interested in that whole kit and caboodle. They just really wanted the specific show to support. So if you're listening via Apple Podcasts, we heard you and we have something for you. You can subscribe to individual shows by finding the audio version of the podcast in Apple Podcasts and subscribing for $2.99 a month. When you do, you get the audio version ad-free right there in Apple Podcasts. So check that out. Matthew Casanelli, if folks want to follow you online and check out all of your great work, including making automations out of every single one of those settings shortcuts from Reddit. Where do they go? I'm kidding. I'm sort of kidding, and only sort of pressuring you into doing that at some point. Where do they go to do that?
I did it for the system preference panes in Mac OS and made shortcuts out of all of that. So trust me, that's actually coming soon-ish. But
oh my God, I actually
.com/Siri shortcuts.
I'm sorry, you're going to tell us that URL again, because I just thought about how beeping handy that would be to send to family members who are having trouble getting to a page. I'm like, just click this, and then this is where we go.
Oh yeah,
that's amazing. And then take it even further. You create a shortcut that takes you to that preference pane, and then also launches a web browser that has the unlisted YouTube video of you showing them how to get to the next step that they need to get to. All at once, so they don't even need. Oh wow, I can't wait! I'm going to download every single one of these.
You like FaceTime with them and immediately just have them.
Yeah, it starts up a share play and like hits all the right buttons so that they don't even have to worry about it.
Oh, exactly. It's MatthewCasanelli.com/Siri shortcuts is where I have my whole shortcuts catalog, and it's getting further split out into the action directory, and I'm doing a new module coming soon. So it's been a little bit delayed. I had some major website issues. I'm really good at shortcuts. I'm not as good at the web, but don't worry, it's going to be awesome. So go check that out.
Awesome. I am at Micah Sargent on many a social media network, or you can head to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUA.coffee, where I've got links to the places I'm most active online. That brings us truly to the end of this episode of Smart Tech Today. We will see you next week. I will see you next week. Until then, put on your AirPod beanie. I almost said HomePod cozy. Put on your AirPod beanie and warm up for the holiday season. Goodbye.
Bye.
If you find yourself talking to those virtual assistants in your house quite often, or maybe you can make your light turn on and off with the touch of a button, well, Smart Tech Today is the show for you. Join Matthew Casanelli and myself, Micah Sargent, every week as we talk all about smart stuff and the fun that comes along with it.